G'day mate and welcome back to Factorio with me, JD. We're doing an update video and I'm trying to cover everything that has changed in 17. Even though it was released all of 5 hours ago, I'm actually running 17.1 because Woob is so good they've already put out a incremental update. And as you can see from the changelog, there's a lot changed, including little special things, which I'm just going to copy that because we'll use that in a second. But yeah, there is a lot changed in version 17. By no means is this a comprehensive video. This is going to cover most of it because I've had a chance to look through a lot more guts of version 17 now. I did put out an earlier video which will probably get removed from the channel or set to private or something. Which was really a very, very first impressions video. This I'm hoping to cover a lot more in depth of what's actually changed, what's new. But yeah, 17 is a big change. First major update we've had in 15 months, so lots has changed. So I'm going to load in a pre-made map. And the first thing we're going to start with is high-res goodness. So we've got, I think this is most of them. I think there's a couple of others I'm missing, but we've got our power poles, our substation, our large power pole. All our chests were updated, including the infinity chest, which you may see more of now, especially on community scenarios, that sort of things, because it is easily accessible now, or easier to access now. We've got our logistics chests, we've got our gun turret and our lasers, both of which got a little bit of a tweak. I'm sure the flamers have got an upgrade because that fire looks at the front looks different. But then again, I don't normally play that zoomed in. Accumulator's definitely got an upgrade. Our belts had out their third or fourth major overhaul with the little cogs showing us everything underneath, and at blue speed they're definitely flying along. Same with splitters and undergrounds. Everything got a little bit of an overhaul, and it's also much easier to see when a side loading happens. That's going to be a major improvement, and hopefully, if you don't know how to side load belts, hopefully now between this video and just stumbling upon it yourself, you can now see you can side load into a underground and cut off contents. At the same time, because I have belts here, we now have these belt immunity equipment, which I actually did a mod highlight on a week ago, and I've been waiting on a copyright dispute on my own voice, because YouTube. But it basically means as long as you have power, you can stand on a belt and voila, you can walk back and forth and the belts don't move you. A really, really nice change. It's been in the game for a long time, but you couldn't build it. You could only get it via command, and now you can actually grab hold of it and just build it. It's actually a really easy recipe to build. 10 steel, 5 advanced circuits. Uses actually a lot of power, which is a little bit of a shame, but it is what it is. Walls got an upgrade, and should now join correctly with cliffs. Guess not. But they should also join with water, which I have nowhere handy. Gates also got an upgrade. There's been lots of changes in the high-res department. The rocket silo got a high-res. Lots of things have got a high-res. We've got our pipes. We've now got built into the game. We've got cannot mix fluids, which is awesome because I remember how much fun it was to pop into somebody's base and... Oh, wow. We've even got a robot who's completely confused now. Well, there you go. Because he's now not sure what to do. Well, there you go. So, pipes now can't get mixed, which is another awesome change. Along with... Do I have underground pipes on me? Of course I don't. We now have... fast replace of undergrounds, of normal pipes. So where did those go? So voila. So again, another awesome change. Rocket silo definitely got an update. We can launch that one off without any hassle. Like, it has nice graphics, things move, it's always good to see. We'll actually load up this one so you can see a silo fill up and run through the new cycle with the new high def graphics. It's lots and lots of changes. Woohoo! I beat the game already. Too bad it's all with creative mode and cheats enabled. And this one I'll launch a satellite. This is a change. You can see this one I launched. I didn't get any science out of it. The only way you now get, and also didn't get the pretty, you didn't quite win the game because you launched without a satellite. That message is now gone. Now the only way you get science packs out of the rocket solo is if you launch with a satellite, and you can see now I've got my 1,000 science packs. So that's much the same. Belts have got a upgrade in speed, which has made a really, really big difference. We're now doing 15, 30, and 45 items respectively. So that's going to make a big difference to everybody's builds, everything else. But it's also made maths a lot easier because you'll see our mining speed for each miner is half a second. Or half an item per second. And if I use a decon planner, 24 miners should completely fill this belt. Don't know why the maths works exactly that way. If the belt moves 15 items per second, but that is exactly how the maths works. And you'll see eventually, after this belt populates, yeah, you'll see these two miners tick on and off occasionally, just filling in any gaps. But yeah, 24 miners will completely fill your belt. It also means, even with the change in belt speed, your crafting times for iron, copper, and steel, along with brick, have all been reduced from 3.5 seconds down to 3.2, and steel going from 17.5 seconds down to 16. Which now means if I turn this on, remove, your standard smelting block of 48 smelters will do exactly 1 yellow belt's worth of materials. So that's unchanged, which is awesome because nobody really wants to go around and have to change smelting block configurations. That's really the last thing we need. Of course, I've had this fill up its buffers. Have some iron plate. Alright, try this again. Yeah, it's taken me a while to set up this map and these conditions and all that sort of fun stuff. So, yeah, big change once again. We've got science has been changed. So there we go. Fully compressed yellow belt. These guys will actually insert into any gaps that remain. And it looks like a two stack inserters will clear a yellow belt at this stage. Because of all the changes to belt speeds, inserters are a little bit funny, a little bit different this time around. So we're going to have to pay a little bit more attention to how they work. Okay, so let's start with science changes. This is our old version's 15 science. So we have assembler ones for red science and green science, along with our gears, and we'd need copper, obviously, for red science. We'd also use an assembler tier 1 for our science pack 2, but for the inserter we'd have to have a level 2 assembly machine because it had 3 items for crafting. That's actually changed in version 17. Now the limit on the item limit on assemblers has been removed, so the only reason you have to go to assembler level 2 is further on down the tech tree, well, further on down the crafting tree, when you actually need a liquid input. Your assembler 1 can do everything up until including building a rocket silo, which is yeah, a little bit weird, I have to admit. And What was the other item? A satellite, which has even more recipes, even more items in the recipe. Not a problem. Assembler 1 can build that. So, that was how we started off early game. From there on, we'd have to use Assembler 2s to do our military with our armor-piercing ammo, our grenades, and our gun turrets. Our Science Pack 3 with red circuits, engines, and electric mining drills. Purple Science, being production science, would need electric engines rather than electric furnaces. And then our high-tech science would need copper, processing units, sorry about that, speed modules, and batteries. So, the changes in 17, and also, this will give us 1 per craft, 1 per craft, 1 per craft, 2 per craft, 2 and 2, because that made sense. The changes in 17. First off, you can see you can use a tier 1 assembler all the way through, except for your processing units. Because they have a liquid input, they actually need to be a tier 2 assembler. But it means you can avoid upgrading to a tier 2 assembler for a lot longer, which is probably a good thing, because tier 2 assemblers now require steel. And you can see tier 1's 22 iron, 4.5 copper. Tier 2 is 35 iron, 9 copper, so a fair bit more expensive, and then 2 steel, which makes it even more expensive in the iron front. So also means you're going to have to get steel up and running a lot earlier to be able to access those tier 2 assemblers. So early game unchanged. The only thing that's changed here is we can use an assembler tier 1. Military is the first change. It's again 2 seconds, 2 per craft with 10 seconds, except now we're using wool. Wool is actually really cheap and really fast to make. It just means you're going to have to set up a furnace to make walls earlier in the game. We've got our, what was Science Pack 3 is now called Chemical Science, which gives you 2 per craft and takes 24 seconds, so gives you twice as much and takes twice as long. It is slightly heavier now, that needs more advanced circuits. And rather than having the electric mining drills, we're now using solid fuel. So again, it's a good change, don't get me wrong. It's also a drastic, well, a fairly large change. It does mean that on your early oil setup, you can use your light oil and your heavy oil as the byproduct from those to make solid fuel, to make your chemical science. So it is a great change. It just means people are going to have to think about Factorio slightly differently than they have in the last 5 years or so since Science Pack 3 was introduced. We've got Production Science, which has the same name, but has a different recipe now. We've kept the electric engines, but we now have 30 rail, which is a lot of rail. Thankfully, rail doesn't take that long to craft, and it's a fairly easy recipe, along with some productivity module 1. So that's going to be new for a lot of players. Maybe even some of you guys, you experienced players, haven't been playing with productivity modules yet. Hopefully this will get more players into playing with productivity modules. Lots of people have played with speed modules in the past. Oops, I wanted that set. A lot of people have been playing with speed modules in the past, purely because it was included in the old high-tech science, so they had them available in the base. But yeah, that's a small change, and hopefully more people start playing with the productivity modules. Lastly, our high-tech science has been renamed Utility Science Pack, which also means the whole tech tree has been, I guess, rearranged for more things in the productivity branch, and that should be in the productivity branch, and more things in the utility branch, which are more late game, I guess. Again, a bit of a change. It's also 3 items per 21 seconds, just the same as the production science, except now we need the processing units, which we needed before, along with a flying robot frame and 3 low-density structures. Low-density structures also had a recipe overhaul. They now use a lot more copper, a lot more copper, so bases have gone a little bit more heavier on the copper, along with having steel less. And now they need less steel than they needed before. So that's a big change to the sciences. We also had a change in burnables. You can see that I have good old wooden chests in a box, and our Trusty wooden power poles are also in a box. Unfortunately, our burner inserters are not picking them up. They're not loading them into the boilers because they're now not a burnable item. I guess hinges that go on the top of a wooden chest and a handle break its burnability. Same with a bit of copper wire on a small electric pole, also breaks its burnability. You'll also know that notice that crafting raw wood into wood has been removed. That recipe's now gone. It's dealt with. Anything that used to use it, like our wooden power poles, just get crafted straight from wood. Our shotgun, same story, just gets crafted straight from wood. So we're skipping one process, which is probably a good thing, because the wooden panels were not really used for anything ever. So yeah, wood, coal, and well, obviously every boiler should be loaded with nuclear fuel, because why not? Also, the fuel value of wood, coal, and everything else has been halved. Nuclear fuel cells and nuclear fuel has remained in the exact same amount of fuel amount it had before. Everything else has been divided in half, except for rocket fuel, which actually went more than half. Main reason for that was a lot of things had a burning efficiency of 50%, so they had twice as much fuel in them, but then burn it half as efficient. That's all gone now. Everything now burns at 100% efficiency. So another small change. We have other changes to the recipe. A lot of Mark II items. So your portable fusion reactor now needs a lot of low density structures. Your energy shield Mark II again needs low density structures. Battery Mark II, low density structures. Personal laser defense also needs low density structures. Your personal roboport Mark II, more low density structures. So low density structures have been built into your power armor tech tree. Along with the portable solar panel, also got an overhaul. It went from only outputting 10 kilowatts worth of power up to 30 kilowatts. So it's 3 times as effective. Also needs a lot less resources to actually make one. So hopefully, when you're in the modular armor stage and the power armor stage, hopefully these are a lot more effective. Going through my list. Blueprints. So blueprints got a major overhaul. Actually, let's go through a couple of things. So we've got our, I can't remember what the official name is, but I'm going to go with a utility bar for this one. So this has a nice convenient button for the alt view. It gives us the copy, the copy and the paste commands. So if let's start with the copy. If I just copy those because I just need to lay some pipe in a hurry, I now can. And at the same time, I can, Control C to copy something. If I get rid of it, I can then bring it back up. Bring up my last one anytime with a Control V. If I hold down Shift and scroll the mouse wheel, I can go through my last few copies without an issue and get potentially a whole pile of stuff. I don't know how long this list is. I haven't actually calculated or tried to work it out yet. At the same time, we've also got an undo menu, so I can undo the things that I just built. I have no idea what item I just undid. Oh, I undid this assembly machine all the way over here. Unfortunately, there is no redo command, so be careful with your undos, because I just undid something miles across the map. If I grab a bit of belt, I can hold down, as I could in the past, hold down Shift to put down a ghost, but now we get our little Pac-Man ghost icon right there that shows us that we're now putting down a ghost. In our options menu, and this is something that you will need to actually turn on interface. So down here we have pick ghost item if no items are available. So if that's unticked, and I now have no yellow belt, and I press Q, we end up with that lovely sound we're all familiar with. If I turn that back on, I can now press on any item I see on the map and just hold the Q button. Press the Q button on any item on the map and paste away without an issue, and they'll just magically happen. Hey you, have some of my belts. There we go. So yeah, that's been a big change. We've got our undo command. We've got a cut command, so I can control X for cut, pick that whole thing up and paste it there instead. Really, really good for when you've spent ages building something to realize that it doesn't line up with a train track because they are on a 2-tile system, whereas everything else is a 1-tile system. We've also got the import blueprint string, which is unchanged. We have make a new blueprint, make a new deconstruction planner. The difference is with this is if I click OK and I press Q, it ends up disappearing. No, it ends up in my inventory over here because this toolbar or quickbar is no longer part of my inventory. This is a shortcut bar to all sorts of different things. So if I click on number 4 for argument's sake and number 5, I can preset these numbers to whatever I want and whatever I want in them. If I want to go build oil, I can go to my preset 8 or combat 0 and bring up different things. But this is now not a it's not part of my inventory. I'm just putting a shortcut from this blueprint down here. It doesn't actually go into my inventory. So where were we? Deconstruction planner. If I use it and then press Q, it just goes away, disappears. Blueprint, because I'm actually saving, if I save it, it'll end up in my inventory. If I just press Q or E, it'll end up right back there in my inventory. So guess that one didn't work out. We also have the upgrade planner. Now the upgrade planner out of the box just works. We can just click on things and the robots will be told to upgrade things from whatever is level 1 to level 2. We can also put one in our inventory and actually make some choices. So if I want to go from yellow belt all the way to blue belt, I can. If I want to replace every bit of red belt with, let's say, yellow undergrounds, because reasons, I can do that, and I'll end up boom, 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 and have a massive mess. So it is pre-configurable to a certain extent, but it only does fast replace items. So automatically a small electric pole can only go to a medium electric pole. We don't have a lot of other options. I can upgrade pipe to ground, but again, you're going to have all sorts of issues trying to do that through a base. It's mainly used for belts and chests to a certain extent, or steam engines to turbines. You know, you can sort of see how these things work. Along with, you can upgrade very, very quickly productivity, or one module to an upgraded module, or even swap out modules. That was a nice change. I also saw on the change log that if I had an assembler that was requesting, can I? No, I can't. I can't. So if I have an assembler, actually, can I? So if I have a assembler that is requesting speed modules, and you can see it's requesting 2, if I intentionally put 1 in there, it now automatically updates it to say, hey, it's only requesting 1 now, which is another major change. There's also 2 more buttons down here for toggling on and off our personal robot port, which, as you saw, I toggled off so I could ghost build. I can't toggle off his robot port. Wow, he's got some range. Okay, so I can toggle on and off my own robot port, along with toggling on and off my exoskeletons. Do I have? I have 1. Let's have a bit more than 1. So I can toggle off my exoskeletons if I want that fine movement. Train UIs. The train UI had a complete overhaul as well. As you can see, this is very, very different to what we saw before. But the first thing I'm going to cover is we now have a waypoint station. So I've told this train to go to the top station, then the bottom station. And if I click the play button so it starts running, and then I can actually center the map, we can see, because it's on a waypoint station with no wait conditions, that train's just going around and around in circles, which is very good if you want to make a Frogger style map and kill everybody who walks anywhere near your train. Help if I could click on it. There we go. So yeah, map view for trains, very, very different. It's now much more like an interactive map. I can hit this button to center on the train. I can turn stations on and off, which we could do before, obviously. But at the same time, I can find something interesting on the map and click over here, and I'm now looking at that on map view. So another big change. We're going to go pause, because otherwise I'm definitely going to get hit by that train. I've got this train. So this train we want to go to get coal, stop coal. So we want to add get coal, add stop for coal, add a wait condition, full cargo, add a wait condition. You're going to wait for a passenger to be present. And if I go to add station, there is a station LS dar right there. But if we have a look at the train, it's redded out because it's not actually accessible. Same with bottom and top, because they're on a different train network entirely. This train can't path there, so it automatically knows, no, don't even bother looking at those in the station list. But if we hit get coal, that's going to take ages with a slow inserter. Where are my fast inserters? There we go. We can see this is slowly filling up. Let's cap that to there. Now it's filling up much faster. So once the green bar fills all the way up, the train will then met its conditions. It'll move on to its next train stop, and it's going to wait for a passenger to be present, to be me, and then in theory to go back, except I no-pathed it because, yeah, testing things. One of the other big changes was, and we've all done it before, we've been stuck out in the middle of nowhere, right at the edge of our train network. I need 100 of those, please, to finish off this track. Yep. Stuck right out here in the middle of nowhere because we've driven the tank or driven the car or whatever out to the middle of nowhere, and then one of those items has accidentally had an incident with a biter. We can now scroll back to map view, get rid of stuff, click on a train, and scroll to where we want and hold down the control button, and as you can see, it's drawing a path between A and B. And I can ask the train to come all the way out here to pick me up. And providing JD signaled stuff correctly in his little test world, he would come and get picked up. So again, major change, a great change, don't get me wrong, I absolutely love it. What else do I have going on my list? I've actually got a list. I'm sort of doing a impromptu list, and what I have to cover. Tech tree got a complete overhaul. Unfortunately, I unlocked all the recipes. I should have reset that beforehand. Do I have the command nice and easy to reset it? Yeah, I do. Unresearch. No. Unresearched technologies. That's the command I want. So, Tech tree got a major overhaul. And as you can see, if we, you can see solar panel unlocks more stuff down here. Rocket fuel is now its own separate research. So is low density structures and rocket control units. They're all actual separate researches. It looks like there's a lot more tech in the tree. I'm not actually sure. I haven't actually done the maths and counted how many researchers there were in 16 compared to 17. There are a few ones, like lubricant is now an actual research. Obviously, green science, logistics science, chemical science, military, I assume. Maybe there is an unlock for military. Don't see it. But yeah, those two, along with production science and utility science, are all separate researches that have to be done. if we go look at our rocket silo, which is all the way down here, this should look very, very similar to the Friday Facts picture we had a very long time ago, like 8, 10, 12 weeks ago. So yeah, Tech Tree had got a complete overhaul. The background transparency is much more transparent. One of the other changes was we can now start a research, pick a next one, start a research, pick another one, start a research, start a research. Because of those, we've now unlocked this tier, which, no, let's go back to there. Can I unlock that now? No, I need to unlock engine, which is behind more researchers. Let's try that one. So if I unlock steel, you can then see I can unlock the steel axe, which means our trusty iron axe has actually disappeared. It's now a research. So it's something to keep in mind. So yeah, we've now got an actual tech tree with a research queue. So you can queue the main item plus another... come on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 items. So 6 items in the queue. There is no dragging back and forth yet. I really expect we're to probably be adding some sort of feature to bump things up and down the queue in the near future. Yeah, our trusty iron axe is gone. We now automatically start with iron axe crafting speed, and when we unlock the steel axe technology, which is actually not too expensive, it's only 30 seconds, it's only 50 science packs. Okay, it's fairly expensive, but that'll give us our mining speed of 100, which then means we'll be back to original mining speed, except now you don't have to remember that each time you die, etc., to craft a new axe, or each time you break it. Same time, I will actually mention, I'll probably put a link either here or definitely at the end of the video. There is a link to a special video I did a couple of days ago with a special farewell to our trusted iron axe. I have removed all technology. Maybe I can't test this now. Nope, I can still test it because I need one of them. So, unfortunately, which one of the things I was hoping for, our artillery was meant to have a sound update. Unfortunately, they didn't. They do have a graphical update, or at least the train one does. It's looking a lot better than it was before. You'll also know when I go out to map view, it sounds a bit more muffled. You've got unlimited ammo. Let's go here. I'm not sure if I'm a fan or not. Tech tree, research queue. Yeah, we have to unlock each science, which I briefly covered. Iron axe is gone. Map gen. Map pings. Okay, so map pings are now new things. If you go to map view, you can hold down Control and Alt and ping around the map. And if anybody clicks any of these locations, they'll be taken directly to them, which is part of the new rich text update. So if I open the text view and drop a blueprint in there, I can press enter, and anybody else can see the blueprint just by hovering their mouse over it. And if they click on it, they'll get a copy of the blueprint, which could be awesome, could be bad. Really good way for moving important blueprints around the map from player 1 to player 2. There was that bit of code that I copied before. So, at the same time, you can also share directly in text a blueprint. So this is from the official release notes for version 17. There is a blueprint string in there, and if you copy that, you'll get this lovely blueprint, hello from the changelog, because that's what we've decided to put in. We also have the hand now, so if you see, if I pick up any of these items from my tool belt, or from my tool belt, which is just a shortcut to my inventory, and you can see that I have, let's have 200 of some item. out of infinity chests. You'll do. So you can see this is a shortcut. It's totaling the total amount of items I have in my inventory, which again is massive change. I love it. It just makes the game so much easier to know that, hey, I'm down to 200 odd belts. It's probably time to swing back past base and pick up some more. Pipe mixing, yeah, we covered that. One thing that we haven't really covered is, in the past, when something went wrong, you'd be hit with that da-dunt sound, and it wouldn't really tell you what was wrong. Now, right above where you're clicking, you'll get cannot connect systems with different fluids. I can't put down a pipe here because there's a pipe in the way. If I try and put a gun turret, I'll get told that there's a whatever's in the way, and that's why it won't actually go down. If I have one of these and I try to ghost a blue assembly machine over a level 2 over a level 1, it'll go nope. But if I use an upgrade planner and go that way, that'll work perfectly fine, and they'll even come from my own inventory. So another nice little change, that we get that sort of interaction directly on our screen. We also have the map editor, which is now directly accessible from inside the game. So I can swing out here and go, that's cliffs, resources, entities. That didn't help. Haha, no. What the biters? Resources, current force, create force? Enemy. Create force. That's what I want. So, biters have had a bit of an overhaul. They well, let's start with a small biter. He's pretty tame and innocent. Medium biter's a little bit nastier. Big biter's definitely getting to the scary scale, and then a behemoth biter is definitely fairly large. Spitters are much the same. We'll rotate them. Actually, that's the front, that direction. There's a medium. There's a behemoth. There's a big. We also have our small worm, our medium worm, our big worm, and a behemoth worm. Yeah. Our spawners again, the darker color is the spitter ones, so they've been updated as well. To exit the editor, it's as simple as type editor again, and we exit the editor. This is probably a dangerous spot to be standing. Oh, I've got artillery out there. Oh, that fixed that problem. Alright, we'll wander over here and see what the biters do to the artillery. My laser's failing. Oh, I'm still in the other team. Do I happen to have lasers on me? No, I don't have to have lasers on me. Infinity chest. They're iron chests. What infinity chest? There they are. Go away. I want you. I want lasers, because lasers I actually want to show off as well. I think that means I need power as well. Nope. Okay, lasers are just not going to work. Let's go back to the editor and build as player. Exit editor. Nope, my lasers are all broken. I broke the game already. Anyway, lasers are going to upgrade. They now have solid fire rather than the intermittent fire that they used to have. I'd love to show it off, but I'm still on the wrong force. Really? I broke it that good, did I? Build as full spray. I'll try anything. Question mark item. I'm looking for power. Free unlimited power. Oh! There we go. Lasers. Lasers! Lasers everywhere. I got something to work. So yeah, lasers got an overhaul. It turns out those biters are on my team. I'm now wondering what team. Those lasers are on my team as well. Excellent. Okay, my team wins. Okay, so that was a quick tour through the base. The other thing I really wanted to show off was, I've left it to last because it is the most interesting. So, map generation has definitely massively changed. We've had our presets in the past, so we've had our defaults, which we could just hit the reset button and go back to default. We've got Rich Marathon, Death World Marathon, Rail World, Ribbon World, which I don't believe was a previous preset, but maybe it was. Map heights limited only 128 tiles, which introduce a range of challenges and interesting solutions. It really, really, really does. You can always make a custom ribbon world over here, which in the advanced tab, which is something we used to do all the time. But there's also an island start, and if you click the preview button, this is something that was covered in the Friday Facts the other week. It starts you on a island, and in the case of my random map gen, it was a fairly large island. But if we go over terrain and we go, hey, let's have a bit more water with a bit more coverage. I think they made it worse. Advanced. Let's try. There we go. There we go. You can have a nice little island. So that's another big change. At the same time, if you haven't noticed the preview, I can change a setting in here and it just updates. It just generates a new map according to my maybe small, maybe large changes. If we go back to a default map. So this is a default map on absolutely default settings. Nice map, you know, nothing too complicated. There is now no longer oil or uranium in the starting area. So if you want an easy map, normally you go across to starting area size, set it nice and big, but it does mean that your oil's probably going to be a little bit further out. If you bring that all the way in, hopefully your oil's, no, it's in the exact same spot, so that analogy didn't work. But yeah, on your resources scale, you can say, hey, my iron, I want more of it, please. I want my iron patches to be a lot bigger, or even go all the way out and say, give me massive iron with massive, 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 and set yourself an entirely different type of challenge. Terrain, again, water scale and coverage, we've played with those. Trees, we can go super heavy forest, hopefully. with super high coverage, and you can see that that's going to absorb a lot more pollution than it did before. The only thing really slowing us down is that we're in a desert map. But if I turn up the moisture, no, other way. Okay, maybe it's the other one. There we go. I can really remove our desert content. On the flip side, if you want more desert, you can turn the bias back down. The temperature terrain type changes the difference between grass and sand and red desert. So if I scroll it all the way one way, we'll get a very heavy sand maps. Whereas if you scroll it the other way, you'll get very heavy red desert maps. So yeah, that was another big change. Enemies, and this is going to be one of my favorite ones for community maps. Speaking of community maps, it is the 27th today, so that means the next 1 or 2 days we're actually waiting on. I'm waiting on Woob to finally get a headless server that actually runs, because they didn't actually have that at the time of 17 releasing. At the same time, we're waiting on GM8 to update their servers to the new headless servers when they do. We're going to be launching a new community map. It's going to be probably a Death World marathon with no mods. It is an open community map. Just putting in a plug there if you want to come and learn the joys of version 17 with a few other people that are probably struggling just as hard as you are. So yeah, it's an open community map if you wish to come along. So yeah, by the basis, you can turn the frequency right the way up to have them literally dotted everywhere, or right the way down to have really almost nothing on the map. Same with size, we've got fairly tiny. You can crank it all the way up to have a biter base to contend with. They're a lot closer than they were before. That's a little bit scary, considering that's the start. Oh, okay. No, I missed him. And he's new. Okay. Just we'll go all out. You know, if you really want a challenge. So yeah, map editor has been thoroughly changed. We've also had the pollution rates, the absorption modifier is now actually written in a way people can understand what it actually does. The damage to trees is another slider that was there in the past, but now it's an actual slider. So you can set it to 0, and it means that trees shouldn't take any damage and be able to absorb pollution forever. Whereas if you set it 99.99999, it means after they've absorbed that much pollution, they finally hit a decayed state where they lose all their leaves and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, lots and lots of different changes to the map editor. The map editor's had a really big overhaul. Did I cover everything that's on my notes list? I did, but I definitely know I am missing stuff. It's 17's massive. You could probably expect over the next probably week, I'd expect a bunch of new videos coming out about 17 with version 17 content. I want to do a really short highlight video of those things that have changed in 17 or have changed in 15 and 16 that you might not know about. Should be a quick video in my tips and tricks series. Really recommend you hit subscribe button and turn on the notifications for that one. Along with, we will be launching a new community map. Again, all my details will be on Discord and on Twitter. Description for all that sort of stuff is, links for all that sort of stuff is down the bottom of the description. Oh, that's close. This message hasn't changed. Oh, that's real close. And Biter's got a sound update. Obviously. So yeah, lots of 17 content coming. I really hope you guys hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. To catch all that new content. At the same time, I am going to link in one of the end screens a special video I did for our poor pickaxe that is no longer with us in Factorio 17. So thank you guys so much for watching this. Probably longer than the expected video, but like I said, there was a lot to cover, and I hope I covered everything. So thank you so much, and I'll see you in the next one. All right, bye.